How's it going, guys? Talking more knives today. Today we're looking at this bad boy, one of my favorite little fixed blades. This is a Woodsman's Pro from Battle Horse Knives. Alright, you can see the logo there, stamped into our blade. This one is the Scandinavian ground version with the removable scales. I did show in a past video. I do have two other sets of these scales. I might make another video on that, may not, we'll see. But I love this knife. This thing is really, really awesome. Now this is pretty much, it's made to be an outdoorsy knife, more specifically a bushcraft style knife, especially with that Scandinavian ground blade. But although I did some woodwork with this, I basically just played around making some feather sticks. It did work great for that. This isn't the first knife of this size or the first Scandi knife that I've had before, so I didn't really focus too much on using it for bushcraft. I can just tell you by using it a little bit, yeah, it's a great bushcraft knife, but that's not the focus for me. I actually EDC'd this blade, and that's mainly the use I got out of this one was an EDC fixed blade. I went through a little stint there of probably 3.5 weeks, something like that, where I EDC'd this every single day. And I loved it. I did have to kind of go out of my way to use this. I'm pretty used to using my my main folder, which I'll keep in my front right pocket, or of course the neck knife that I have. Those are kind of my go-tos. I don't even think about it. If I need to cut something, I go right to the pocket or right to the chest. So I did have to kind of go out of my way to purposely take this blade out over other ones, use it to open mail, use it to break down cardboard. A lot of the cutting that I do for testing purposes and just in my daily life is breaking down cardboard. I get lots of packages in the mail, and my garbage situation, how it is, I have to basically cut it down. We have like a garbage dump, and when you drive there, if you bring cardboard boxes, they have to be prepped and nice and flat. So more times than not, instead of just breaking them down so they're flat, I'll just cut them up into tiny little pieces, throw them in a regular garbage bag, and just be done with it and throw it in with the regular garbage. So that's just how I prefer to do that. Plus, it gives me the opportunity to use a blade and use it often. Obviously, I test a lot of different knives, and after a while, your daily cutting chores, it's limited, very limited. So you have to come up with creative ways to use your knives to see how you like them or don't like them. But anyway, this one did exceed very well at cutting. It is a beautiful blade on here. It's 4 inches of O1 tool steel. I'm a big fan of O1. Just the same as D2, I actually prefer O1 or A2 over D2, and I'm a huge fan of D2, so that should say a lot about O1 and A2. So I've had a lot of experience with, unrelated to this knife, but a lot of experience with A2 using, all kinds of different fixed blades from a variety of different companies, but mostly Bark River Knife and Tool, as well as a lot of O1 in some custom work too. But, the performance is phenomenal. It's great. If you guys have never used O1, it's really, really good. I do recommend, like with D2 or any of the other tool steels, to lightly coat it in oil, okay, so you don't get any kind of surface rust. All right, it does have high carbon content, so it is a little bit prone to some just spotting here and there. If you want to get a patina on it, don't worry about it. Just make sure you keep it clean, though. If you want to keep that preserved look of the blade when you get it new and you don't want any rust or any kind of patina on it, you do want to just keep it lightly oiled. Not a big deal, just another step in maintenance, so that should be considered with all the tool steels out there. But anyway, thickness here is 5/32 of an inch. All right, I think it's a good thickness with this blade. You don't want something that's super thick. Again, with the shorter fixed blades, particularly for outdoor use, there is a fine line. You want them nice and thin. Obviously, the thinner it is, the leaner your edge will be, the more capable of cutting will be, but it takes away a little bit from strength. I see a lot of these smaller fixed blades getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and yeah, it lets you beat on them a little bit extra hard, but then you get that wedge effect that I'm talking about all the time. When you have a fat blade, it has more resistance. You want it to be skinny as possible, but still strong. So I think it's just it's a good thickness. I didn't have any problems when I was, doing the feather sticks and stuff like that. It was definitely thin enough for that kind of work. Didn't, break down branches or anything crazy with this. And like I said, as far as EDC use, a lot of cardboard. That was its main focus, and it ripped through it great. I loved it. Our overall length here is 8 7/8 inches. And again, our material for the handle scales are G10. They are removable. Okay, you can pop these off if you want a thinner profile, even this. You can do a paracord wrap on it. That's totally an option. But I thought that this was extremely comfortable. You can see, hopefully here, that the handles taper down. It's a little bit fatter on the butt end of the knife, and it tapers down a little bit towards the front or tip of the knife. It filled out the hand beautifully. It's pretty, it's symmetrical, not only just in the grooves here, if you can tell, both scales are symmetrical. Goes all the way around like that. But it was just really comfortable in the hand. I liked it. No crazy designs here. There isn't a specific finger choil, but the guard naturally lets your hand kind of, or your pointer finger here, kind of tuck in a little bit. So, you know, driving it into wood or, you know, with a little bit harder, you know, rough use on this knife, I have no fear of my hand riding forward or anything. It's comfortable. It's easy to use. I love the pattern here. Aesthetically, I think it's pretty cool looking. It kind of reminds me of like water buffalo horn that has a natural groove in it. Obviously, these aren't naturally in there. It is, you know, purposely cut into the scales here, but it offers a really good grip. But it's not overdone. You know what I mean? It's like some textural things, like when you're just handling it, you're like, wow, this is super grippy. I'll never, you know, lose my grip on this knife. But then you go to actually use that knife, and it hurts. You know, there's a limit. You want it to be grippy, but you don't want it to be so damn aggressive that it's actually irritating your skin. And as far as I use this knife in cutting cardboard, and trust me, if you rip up cardboard and you're actually cutting for any more than 5 minutes, and that does not sound like a long time, but if you haven't done that before, take a knife, start cutting cardboard and set a timer. 5 minutes later, your hand could be sweaty and red and irritated depending on whatever knife you're using. You know, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So another thing I really like about this is that huge lanyard hole. Okay, not only for the accessibility of pretty much any kind of cordage you want. Geez, you could throw anything through there. Braided steel wire if you wanted. But aesthetically, it just does something for me. I like it. I like the way it looks. As far as critiques, you know, whenever I see that right there, I will always recommend a blade choil just because I'm a fan of those. I mean, it's really not a big deal at all, but how I see that is just wasted edge. You know, it could have been maybe like an 1/8 or 1/16 longer edge, which might not seem like much, but when you're doing your fine work up close, you know, you want kind of a distinctive edge. You know what I mean? Just personal preference, though. It's not a huge hit on the knife. As far as the point, it is very pointy. I did do a couple stab tests in the tree, the old stab and twist. I actually filmed that for you guys. I did a little bit of you know, filming of the testing on this knife, but I lost that footage. Perhaps I'll do that again for you. What I did like is that it's a little bit thicker on the edge, if I can get this to focus properly. So it is stronger. It's a nice, strong, pointy tip, all right? No worries of this bending out on you or having any kind of issues with that if you do use that tip a lot, especially, again, on the bushcraft side of things, if you're gonna be whittling things out, you know, maybe making a fireboard or something like that, some kind of fire making set, it is going to be beneficial for you to have a nice strong tip on your blade. All right, so the big question, how much? That's what we want to know, right? How much money? 175 bucks. And I'm here to tell you, after using this knife, that I think it's worth 175 bucks. It is definitely fairly priced in my opinion. I have to talk real quick in general. In my opinion, any knife that's more than $100, I consider expensive. Okay, I mean, obviously it's relative. If you make, you know, over $100,000 a year, maybe buying a $200 knife is not a big deal to you. But generally speaking, yeah, anything over 100 bucks, that's expensive, man. You know, that's not cheap. But it's quality. It's quality. It's just, anytime you're talking about a knife that's more than 100 bucks, there's always someone that wants to chime in and say, hey, that's overpriced. Overpriced. Okay, I got to use the old bunny ears here, the air quotes, because that's very subjective, you know. Overpriced to one person is just right to someone else and is a bargain to another person, you know. But I have a lot of experience with all kinds of different knives, and as far as a medium-sized fixed blade of this caliber, yes, that's priced right. With a different logo on it, could be 200 bucks. You know, you put the right logo on here, this exact same knife could be $400, you know. But if you put a certain logo on there or a certain brand name, it might be 80 bucks, you know. In this particular case, it happens to be 175 bucks, and I think that's fair. All right, that's what I'm getting at. It is, it's worth it. It's worth that price tag compared to what else is on the market that I've used. The sheath is separate, okay? I believe it comes standard for the $175. You do get a leather belt sheath. which is cool and everything. I definitely want a Kydex, okay? What I don't like, and I'm gonna give you a gripe here, is it's an extra $3 for this loop, okay? I like the fire steel, you know, ferrocerium rod loops on my sheath, especially with like a bushcraft style knife. I didn't need it for EDC purposes, but I know eventually this will be a bushcraft knife for me, and I wanted a loop. An extra $3, come on. To me, that's kind of cheap. I don't like that. That's a gripe. But that aside, the Kydex sheath is worth it, in my opinion. It does come with a tech lock. I believe there's a bunch of different options depending on what you want to spend. But the sheath is a perfect fit. It does have a nice little thumb push on there, which kind of assists you in getting that out because it is a nice strong snap. Doesn't rattle, doesn't make any noise. All right, they're not supposed to. If you have a knife that rattles around, makes noise, it's because it's not properly fit. This one makes no noise. All right, so yeah, to me the sheath's worth it. I actually like this very abrupt tanto looking cut on the sheath. Most times sheaths obviously follow the lines of the blade. I don't know why. Some people might look at that as lazy or wrong. I like it. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. Can't really explain it. I just like it. Maybe just because it's different. But yeah, there you go. I do like the sheath. In carrying every single day, it was comfortable. It was secure. So yeah, I can definitely recommend the sheath as well if you do want to pay the extra money for the sheath. All right, again, I'm going to put the link to Battle Horse Knives, this exact knife, down in the description box. You can check out all the different options and see if you like this knife, if it's worth it to you, you know, the end price, you know, what the total is actually going to be with the sheath combination, whatever you like. So anyway, that's all. Thank you very much for spending some time watching my video. I appreciate it a great deal. If you have this knife, please post down in the comments what you think of yours, what you've been using it for, how it's holding up. You know, people want to hear other people's opinions too, besides myself. But anyway, hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.